What is going on, y'all? It's Roanoke Gaming, back from vacation. I'm refreshed and ready to make some more lore. On the real, I appreciate the support while I was gone, and I'm now up to 92 subs. When I hit 100, I've got a special video coming out. I'm not really sure what it is yet, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome. If this is your first time here, why not subscribe? After all, if it's free and you like lore, I've got you covered. So today what we'll be covering is the augmentations needed by Gamma Company in Halo Ghosts of Onyx. These were the Spartan IIIs deployed against the Covenant. However, they possessed a special armor that allowed them to essentially go invisible to the naked eye due to the reflective light paneling on their armor. It should be noted that because they were Spartan IIIs, their armor was not Mjolnir, but instead a semi-powered infiltration armor. The armor is weaker and not meant to stand up against much abuse, but it is still better than the average common soldier's armor. This is important later, as it will indicate how these augmentations were both good and bad for Gamma Company. We're going to stick to more of the biological factors of lore on this one. That being said, if you'd like to see more lore on Gamma Company, comment down below that you would, and I will start making that in the near future. So, without any more fluff or stalling, let's jump into the non-standard augmentation process of the human body. The project itself that implemented these augmentations was known as Project Chrysanthemum. Nice. First time ever actually saying that word in my life. Originally, these augmentations were used on the Spartan IIs, and after learning from the mistakes of the previous soldiers, from their deaths essentially, advances in technology were made. The casualty rate went from 56% in the Spartan to 0% in the Spartan IIIs. The procedure was originally developed by Dr. Catherine Halsey to make Spartan IIs into living, walking death machines against the Covenant. The genetic qualifications were very strict concerning the Spartan IIs as well, and even still, the casualty rate was 56%, which indicates that every minute change in the genetic code could spell disaster for the patient. That being said, when the Spartan III program began, the requirements were much broader and could incorporate many more potential Spartans without a 50-50 chance of death. This was only due to their augmentation process itself being corrected. The genetic requirements were still exceedingly strict at this point. Spartan IIs had to meet a certain criteria for robustness and mental fortitude as well. If met, they would be allowed to enter, or actually really abducted, into the Spartan program. Spartan III screening practices were more lenient due to advances in technology. This meant overall, the Spartan IIIs were a much more lively candidate and had a propensity towards being more aggressive. Like any human given semi-superpowers, the Spartans were no different. They sought vengeance against those that had caused them harm. Spartan IIIs were typically orphaned due to Covenant attacks. As stated, this caused them to have higher aggression levels when confronting enemies and led them to not be as careful and calculated as the Spartan IIs would be, since their mind was clouded by anger and emotions. Some of the Spartan IIIs would qualify for the augmentations of the Spartan IIs due to their genetics, and this would allow them also to possess the strength and power of the Spartan IIs. Spartan III augmentation process was much less invasive than what the Spartan IIs experienced. This is due to the augmentations being chemically induced rather than surgically implemented. Just like the Spartan IIs, Spartan IIIs had received these augmentations prior to puberty, as if they were administered later, the body would reject them because it had already reached full maturity. So, due to this rejection, it was noted that this could lead to the death of the Spartan, so really only children were taken. In preparation for the overhaul of the human form, candidates were given growth hormone, cartilage, muscle, and bone supplements 9 months prior to the augmentations. The growth hormone would jumpstart the puberty by stimulating the pituitary gland for the most part. There are also a myriad of other processes in the brain responsible for controlling puberty, but in the interest of time, we will stick with this one gland as it appears to be the main catalyst for puberty. Anyways, with this gland stimulated and the supplements in the body of the candidate, this would induce a quick form of puberty at the age of 12. Interestingly, which I did not know before I researched this, it would give a 12-year-old the physique of an adult Olympic athlete despite being only 12 years of age. So that is very strange. So, everyone caught up? Excellent! Because now we're going to go into the actual chemical augmentations needed by the Spartan IIIs. Alright, so these get a little, number and lettery, so I'm just going to put them up on screen for you guys because, I mean, I'm going to say them, but it's You guys won't remember them. The first drug administered is the 8942-LQ99. It was known as the carbide ceramic ossification catalyst drug. This means that it was responsible for integrating into the skeletal structure of a human. It would make skeletons become virtually unbreakable and allow the Spartan III to fall from great heights without bone breaking. So, as a biologist though, I must inform you that there is a ligament that runs under your liver, and if you fall from great heights, even if you don't break a bone, you will slice your liver in half, leading to massive hemorrhaging in the abdomen, which eventually will kill you as a lot of blood runs through your liver. So even if you have unbreakable bones, you can seriously injure yourself from falling too high. So I'm not really sure how they get around that in the Spartan program. Perhaps when they surgically go in, they can do something with that ligament. But for you and me, don't try to jump from too high. The next drug is 88005-MX77. This drug was known as a fibroid muscular protein complex drug. It was responsible for increasing the muscle density in the person, allowing them to lift heavier objects, hit harder, and run faster. This was massively needed as overall the Covenant were faster, stronger, and more agile races than the average human. The third drug is 88947-OP24, a retina inversion stabilizer drug. This would allow color sharpness to be significantly improved upon and night vision to be utilized in the Spartan. Obviously, humans do not possess the greatest night vision, as our eyes have more cones than rods. Cones are responsible for color, and rods are responsible for night vision. The cones would have been increased as well as the amount of rods. This would provide, at least in my opinion, a much higher sensory load on the brain, allowing you to see more. I also imagine that this would probably lead to some migraines in a normal person, but perhaps this is what the next drug was used for. The fourth drug is 87556-UD61. This drug would improve the colloidal neural disunification solution. Basically, it would greatly improve the Spartan's reaction time. This would allow them to react 300% faster than your average human. This is also given the term Spartan time. This seems to have sped up the brain, perhaps making it able to handle the information load that the third drug brought on. So above are the standard augmentations of the Spartan IIIs. Now, let's get into Gamma Company's extra augmentations. So the way I'm going to lay these out is two of these are really just there to kind of counteract the main augmentation drug, but I'll go through and let you know which one is which. So let's start with the first, 009127-PX or Cyclodexion. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's Cyclodexion 4. It was a bipolar integration drug. Its main purpose was to counter some of the not so great effects of the next drug known as 09762-00. This drug was mildly dangerous to the host, known as a neural-altering non-carcinogenic mutagen. It would alter the key regions of an individual's frontal lobe. This enhanced the aggressive response to dangerous levels in an already aggressive Spartan. To counter this, the regular doses of 009127-PX and our next drug were used. The third drug is 009927-DG. It is I believe it's misolazapine. We're going to call it misolazapine. And it counters the effects of what I am just going to call the aggression drug. This augmentation gave the humans the ability to go toe-to-toe with the Covenant and sometimes other Spartans. Now, it is widely believed that the Spartan IIs, and known actually, that they were pretty much better than the Spartan IIIs. They were quicker, they were stronger, because Mjolnir gave them the ability to be. Spartan IIIs, they kind of just had mass-produced crappy armor. Better than your standard issue, but it was still pretty bad. During the Battle of Onyx, a 12-year-old Spartan was able to briefly hold out against Kelly 087. If you do not know who Kelly is, she is considered the fastest Spartan alive and routinely had to slow down for those around her, even sparring with other Spartans. However, these augmentations given to the Spartan IIIs meant that they were able to basically, when fighting her, keep up for a small amount of time. The non-standard augmentation I'm calling the aggression drug was given specifically to Gamma Company, and its effects stood out. This mutagen would allow these specific Spartan IIIs to endure physical trauma that no human or even Spartan II could endure. An example of this is when Dante G188 thought that he had actually been nicked during battle when in fact the Needler Shard tore open his entire chest. Much like a Hulk version of adrenaline in a normal human, this drug allows a Spartan to call upon reserves of strength and endurance that a normal person would never be able to muster. And let's just say for a thought experiment that even if you did have the strength required to call upon this and the drug itself, the muscle would pull away from the bone and the bones would crack and snap. So it would just be an overall bad time for you. These augmentations were great for battle and combat, but obviously contain a lot of pitfalls for the host. The mutagen given to Gamma Company had to be countered with multiple drugs and in regular doses, and I once again am about to butcher these words, so hold on with me. The doses of cyclodexion 4 and mesoolanzapine. Wow, it sounds like a different language. Anyways, those two drugs had to be utilized, otherwise the Spartan would lose all strategic judgment over time and would become more susceptible to instinct-driven behavior in combat, which would lead to their death. So, what did you guys think of the Spartan IIIs from Gamma Company? I know I didn't get too much into their history, but these augmentations are pretty sweet, albeit dangerous as well. Would you guys like to know about their armor, backstory, stuff like that? Comment down below saying which one you would want to see, and I'll try to make it. Also, because you're supposed to mention subbing twice in a video for some reason, if you like the video, why not subscribe? Doesn't cost a thing, and I don't plan on stopping my lore videos, anytime soon in the foreseeable future. So, alright guys, that does it for me, and I will catch y'all in the next one.